Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2, and today I'm going to be giving you part 9 of What If Naruto Was Banished from Konoha and Made Them Regret It. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, remember if you're new to go ahead and check out the other what ifs over on the other channels. I posted a brand new episode of What If Naruto Became the New God of Apocalypse, so go ahead, check out that and enjoy. I also posted a brand new episode of Anime Prince of What If a God like Naruto went to the fairy tale universe, so go ahead, check out that and enjoy guys. And remember, for new, yes I did have 4 channels which I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy: Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, and Anime Prince. So go ahead and smash that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family, and thank you for all of your help and your support. So without further ado or wasting any more time, what do you say we jump right into this new episode? Begin now guys. So, the last part we left off, Naruto was still upset about this morning, as he was beginning to think that his own problems were just leaking over towards everything. However, as Naruto called up the Anvus and the Shinobis, as he told them all together, he called up the 4 that were on duty last night, as he spoke to them about the event that happened last night. Those that chose to watch over the village and allow the girl to be in the darkness by herself alone in the dead of night was all older shinobis. The new generation was gonna go help the girl by any means necessary, as the younger generations had something inside of them that the older generation seemed to be lacking, as Naruto was rather upset about what has been shown so far, as he spoke to each and every one of them, making sure that they understand that they were the village, the people. It was not just the shinobis or the buildings, the people, the one that they went out of their way to protect. It was because of the Kazekage former reign. Gaara's father and the third Kazekage were a man that, well, they did not care that much about the civilians, as they did not seem to be that high on the food chain for anything, because they weren't that important. The shinobis had to always be protecting the village security, even if that meant the civilians were, well, not really being looked after. That is something that Naruto wanted to change, as Gaara was there watching the whole thing as well, as he could tell that Naruto's involvement in this, the position that he gave him, was being a real game changer for everything within the sand. Once that came to an end, we skipped over to Temari, who was with Snevy, as Snevy wanted to speak to her regarding her engagement ring. Snevy had put it together some time ago. Well, at least she hoped that she was right. The 9 curves on the ring, as she asked if Naruto was her fiancé. Temari did not deny it, as Snevy was overjoyed to hear that he was okay. She knew that he could not be killed. She knew that he was here alive. That brought a brilliant smile to her face, as she was so happy. She wanted to see him. However, Temari told her that he was busy right now, but she would definitely see him tomorrow. All of them would. She was rather cryptic upon that. However, later that day, Temari was rather drunk as she was home. She was also a bit worried and upset about, well, what happened between her and Naruto when Naruto arrived, as he brought her in and settled her down in the bed, telling her to sleep it off. The next morning when she woke up, she thought that he did not come home last night, and he might still be upset, as she was not quite able to remember what happened last night because she was so drunk. As Naruto came in with breakfast, as he told her that everything was fine, they got to talk and sort things out right there and then. They were a newly married couple. It was like they were not gonna have fights. However, they were able to overcome it. That is what showed the love that they had for one another. We even had a time skip to the other day, as everyone had been gathered. This was the first time in history all 5 Kages had been gathered in one place, as the sun was there with all of them. The place was well populated as everyone was ready to witness the event that was going to take place. It was going to be fun. As Sakura, Sasuke, everyone was here as well. Sasuke tried to flirt with Temari, but she once again showed that she was not interested by simply turning her head. However, she made it known that she was now married. This angered Sasuke, but he will find a way. He will find a way to make her see that he was the one that she should be with, not that loser. Yes, he would find a way no matter what. As the other Kages were speaking about when the Kazekage will arrive when he did show up. As Gar was not above talking about Naruto inside of the box, and all the achievements that he has gained in the village so far, despite not saying his name. When the time finally came though, Gaara introduced Naruto Namikaze. The other Kages were shocked as they looked down, focusing as she saw him walk through. They couldn't believe it, Namikaze, the son of Minato Namikaze. Sasuke and the others were confused by that as Sakura, who was a bookworm from a long time ago, knew. Minato Namikaze was a 4th Hokage. Now that Naruto was alive, she thought that everything would go back to normal as she could bring Naruto back home. Something rather bad happened between her and Sasuke after Naruto had went away. Sasuke was able to finally make her understand that he did not care for her, saying that she no longer felt the same way about him, as he's proven that rather clear. But now Naruto was back, she thought, thinking that everything would return back to normal, having no idea what or how much has changed, as the others were shocked to see Naruto down there. However, the Raikage would not accept this. Minato was one of the few that he respected. That was a shinobi of the Hidden Leaf, and this child would have to prove that. That is why he jumped down there and pushed his limit to 100% to attack Naruto. As Naruto told his envoys to stand down, as the man rushed towards him, as the Raikage fist destroyed the area that Naruto stood. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across the place, check it out for yourself. So this way we jump right into this brand new episode. Begin now guys. The entire crowd of the Hidden Stand and the other nations were on their feet as they watched with bated breath to see what was going to unfold in front of them. The Raikage has just charged in with his lariat at 100%. As the entire place was tense and thick with tension, Snather was bending the railing as her hand was squeezing on it tightly after seeing the Raikage attack Naruto like that. However, the Chunin box was a different thing entirely. Kakashi had already raised his headband trying to keep up with the Raikage and see what exactly was going to transpire until they heard a squeaking sound. It came from Temari. As Temari was blushing, many of them were quite confused as they didn't understand what just happened. "What is the matter, Temari?" Kakashi asked, completely confused. The girl did not reply as she ran her finger across her lip. That idiot, she thought to herself. As she focused her eyes down there, the dust clouds started to settle to show 2 figures standing there. What had really happened was, Naruto had flashed straight up towards Temari because of the beacon that was in the ring. He had kissed her before flashing back down there. The Raikage felt the kunai penetrate his lightning because it was overflowing with wind chakra, the natural weakness that lightning had. As blood started to drip from his neck from the cut that the wind chakra pressed up against him made, the Raikage glanced up as he saw those cold blue eyes. Immediately, Naruto's image was switched with Minato as they perfectly combined. "It's over," said Naruto. Naruto spoke as the entire sand side of the stadium erupted in cheers. "Is it?" the Raikage said, as his body exploded into lightning, zapping the blonde. The real Raikage emerged as he threw a fist towards Naruto's chest, blasting him away. However, Naruto's body poofed away. Shadow Clone? That sly bastard. As his eyes snapped all over the place. "Where the hell are you? Show yourself, Namikaze," he yelled out, as he did not like that he was being made a fool in such of a large audience. But for the life of him, he could not find out where the hell the blonde went. Meanwhile, in Kage's booth, Gaara released a sigh of relief as he palmed at his face before plopping back down in his seat. "Kazekage Dano, where did he go?" the voice of Maid Terumi said, As Nede looked at him as well. That is when Kankuro snickered behind him. Whenever you can't find Naruto, look towards where Temari is. That is always a golden rule in our village these days. Gaara spoke up, meanwhile up in the Jonin box. As Temari felt two arms wrapped around her stomach and pulled her in. Worried about me, Haim, Naruto whispered in her ear as he gave her a kiss on the neck. Idiot, she whispered. As all of the others turned to see, Naruto standing behind Temari. When the hell did he get here? There was nothing. No flicker of movement, nothing at all. How was he able to reach here so fast? That was the thoughts of most of them, but mostly Sasuke as he was seething in rage, seeing Temari cuddle up in Naruto's arms. What the hell, Kiba said. When did you get here? However, Naruto ignored all of them, as he kept on playing with and teasing Temari. The Raikage though heard the tantrum of the Inuzaka, as he looked up towards the boot. Come down here this instant, he yelled. However, Naruto simply turned his back to the man, as he kissed Temari once again. Several people blushing at the intimate show of affection in public. The Raikage saw red at being ignored, as he charged right towards the both of them. However, as his fist made contact with nothing, Naruto was already gone as he was in the arena. Temari bridle style in his hands, as he teleported the kunai that he threw earlier. The Raikage jumped back down. However, Naruto's eyes, they were so cold. As he placed Temari down and had her stand behind him, Naruto's fists clenched. You could have hurt my wife, said Naruto. Rage. The rage was clear in his tone. Then you shouldn't have gone and hid behind her back, Namikaze. Now come and fight me seriously. Naruto started to unbutton his cloak as he took it off to show the blue sleeveless t-shirt that he had underneath, and also his muscular toned arms as he folded the cloak around Temari, as he smiled at her, seeing that she had a worried look in her eyes. Go and stand to the side, Haim, said Naruto. I'll end this within a minute, said Naruto. She was about to say something, but he placed a finger to her lip. Trust me, alright, he said. I'll be fine. He reassured her and she knew that he was right, but it didn't make her any less worried for her reckless husband. Be careful, she whispered. I still want you all to myself tomorrow like you promised me, she said, as Naruto smiled before kissing her on the forehead, as she quickly moved towards the other side. That woman has made you weak, Namikaze. Just like how that Uzumaki woman before did to your father. A shinobi must not have such ties or distraction to anyone. You will do well to watch your mouth, said Naruto. And you're completely wrong, my Haim is my strength. I would level half of the entire elemental nation if anyone ever lays a finger on her. As several girls in the audience all screamed out, "Aww!" Temari hid within the cloak as her cheeks were burning red. It seems you're more than just a spitting image of your father in looks and character. Those were the same words he told me when I threatened him about your mother. His legacy lives on. Too bad your allegiances has changed. As Naruto slipped into a stance with two kunais at his side, Kakashi's eyes widened. What's with that look, Kakashi? Asked Kurenai, seeing the look in the man's eye. As Guy was the one to answer, he also was surprised as well. That was the personal style used by our very own and youthful Kage Kurenai. It is said to be one of the most dangerous taijutsu style, rivaling the gentle fist and the Goken, due to the speed that it required you to have. I never imagined I would ever see it again. Guy said in nostalgia as he remembered seeing the Kage on the battlefield, and the blonde in front of him was like a replica of him. Sensei, Kakashi whispered in nostalgia as he looked towards Naruto standing there. It was too late for regrets now. A student had now joined another village and swore loyalty to another village, which from the looks in the audience it seemed like they loved him more than Konoha ever could. Naruto brought his hand up in a half-ram seal. Strange markings appear all over his body before they all vanish. What were those markings? Sakura asked. This time Jiraiya was able to speak up. Those were resistance seals, he whispered in amazement, making her even more confused. They were created by the Uzumaki clan originally. However, they were modified by the fourth Kage to condition his body for the extreme speed that he was known for. They require the best of knowledge in sealing. Even I myself am not capable of creating the seals that he's using at the moment. Sakura nodded as she smiled fondly as she looked towards the blonde. A blush came on her cheeks as she saw the gentle smile and the peaceful, calm aura around him despite facing down one of the most dangerous men in the Land of Lightning. Down below, what now? Are you trying to blow me away with some gusts of wind, Raikage said, as he did not understand the seals. He powered back up his lightning armor. His speed was immense as he appeared behind Naruto and brought his arm down. However, Naruto tilted and spun around. The Raikage eyes followed Naruto. This boy is good, he thought. Lightning hammer as he drove his heel forward and smashed it down. However, Naruto had already flipped away. The Raikage bolted forward, trying to take the advantage that he had. However, Naruto dropped, allowing the Raikage to pass right over him. A smile graced his face. This was actually fun. The Raikage himself was actually smirking as well. It's been a long time that someone was able to keep up with him in speed. And he was feeling his blood pumping. The Raikage flipped as he landed, as he stomped his foot. I think that's enough for a warm-up, he said. As Naruto tilted his head. Indeed, he said. Up in the stadium. That was just a warm-up. Their flames of youth burned so brightly, Guy-sensei, Lee shouted. Indeed, my youthful student. Naruto-kun flames burn really brightly. He's in the springtime of his youth. Guy exploded as well, as the both of them started to shout, Guy-sensei, Lee. Guy-sensei, Lee. As they envelop each other in a bone-crushing hug. It seems some things has not changed, said Naruto. That's just wrong, the Raikage said, looking up towards the both of them. As he turned back to Naruto. Let's begin this, shall we? Naruto threw his kunai in the air, blurring through hand sign. Ninja art. Kunai clone jutsu. They ran over the field as they became 200. The Raikage jumped away, dodging any that came his way, as he watched as Naruto pulled out two others. The Raikage cackled his armor even more, as the both of them vanished in a purple and yellow flash, as the impacts around the stadiums were happening in seconds. Bam, boom, bam! The Raikage landed a brutal blow in Naruto's chest, when poof! Naruto was gone. A clone? Wind style. Rasengan! The Raikage tried to look behind him, but it was too late. A beam slammed into his back. He was sent hurtling forward before slamming face first into the wall. As everyone was shocked, the Raikage ripped himself out of the wall as he dusted himself off. The lightning had protected him mostly, however he could feel it. The boy had held back on the technique. He would have been pissed off, but he also realized if the both of them were to actually fight. I think that's enough, Raikage-sama, said Naruto. We both know that the techniques it required to take the both of us down will cause severe damage, and we still have the Chunin exams. The Raikage lightning died away as Naruto wiped a trail of blood. The Raikage had bust the side of his lip in their little scuffle. As the Raikage rolled his neck. Yes, I've seen enough, he said. You truly are his son. There's no doubt about that. I am glad that there's another person that can still match me at my top speed, and is still breathing to tell about it. As there was pride in the man's tone as he walked up towards Naruto. However, you weren't going all out, Raikage-sama, said Naruto. And neither were you, son of the Namikaze. As both men chuckled, showing mutual respect for one another as their hands shook. Everybody exploded in cheers and applaud as they saw the man down there shook hands. The Raikage only shook the hands of people that he had incredible respect for, if it was not someone that he had to shake hands with. To show him willing to shaking hands with, well, the son of Minato Namikaze to show the amount of respect that he had for him. As the Raikage walked away, making his way back up to the Kage's booth, Temari rushed over towards Naruto as Naruto caught her in his arms with a smile on his face, as he pulled her into a tight kiss. As she said her goodbyes and moved back towards the half-destroyed Chunin lounge. As the cheers of the stadium started to die down, Temari also saw the venomous look that the pink-hair kunoichi that was once on Naruto team was giving her. However, she did not give a damn about her. She was not important, so she did not even look her way. Back in the Kage's booth. That is quite a shinobi you have, Kazekage-dano. Such talents, and so young. To believe that the leaf actually let someone like him go. That was a grave mistake, Hokage-dano. The Raikage said, I kinda wish he had came to my land instead of yours, Kazekage-dano. The Raikage says he took his seat beside his fellow Kages. Snarly just bit her lip, knowing how true the man's words were. Those fools would now regret their actions. Indeed, he's one of my most trusted, and my friend Raikage-dano. I truly praise the day that I had him in my borders, and took him under my command, said Gaara as Oniki spoke up. Yes, he's really that man's son. Thankfully though, his allegiance are sorted out quite nicely now, Oniki said in a suggestive way. Now that sounded like the man was leaning towards alliance. Yes, and he's quite a specimen too. Who was that girl that was with him, Kazekage-dano? Asked Meiterumi, as she looked down towards Naruto. That would be my sister and his now wife, Temari Namikaze, Gaara said. As the way he said it made me know that he was off the table, it seems. A lucky woman. She made the right decision in tying him down, after all. As Mei glanced over to see several other girls looking down towards him with heart in their eyes. Back in the arena, will all the prospective candidates who pass the second round of Chunin exams please head down towards the field. All the Genins that made it past second round came out. There was a team from each of the major villages. The Genins that were from the minor villages all looked rather nervous, as it made him thought about his own Chunin exams when he was at the villages. He hid his nervousness behind that goofy, smiling persona. Your names will be called out randomly, and you'll be fighting off against your opponent. As the screams start to run through names, the first was a Genin from Kiri, and then another one from the Hidden Stone. Everyone besides you two, head back up towards the waiting area, he said, as they all made their way up there. Now for the first match, Hindi Momokai and Kishina Kazuma. Do you have any questions, he asks. The Kiri ninja spoke up. These terrains is not fear for us. Kiri ninjas. They are highly suitable for all ninjas except water style users. As Naruto looked around, a smirk that played on his lips. The life of a shinobi is rather unfair, kid, he said. However, as the Kiri ninja looked up, you are right. This is a stage where you want to show your full potential, and without the source to do so, you won't be able to do it. And I'm sure that everyone wants to see your full potential. Those from Kiri cheered, as they want to see his full potential. The boy was confused though. They would have to wait for them to fill water in the area. That will take long. But we're in a desert region, he said. We will need water source for water style jutsus like back in our land. As Naruto ruffled his hair like he was a small child. Stand back, said Naruto. The two of them stepped backwards as Naruto leaped up in the sky. Holding out his hand, a gigantic ball of chakra formed. Everyone's eyes went wide in shock. The thing was massive. It was a super massive Rasengan. As Naruto drilled it into the ground, the entire place shook violently. When the smoke and dust cleared, there was a gigantic crater over to the side. As Naruto flashed through hand sign before, water style. Water. Severing waves, said Naruto. Everyone was shocked when he was able to pull. He was pulling moisture out of the air. How was that possible? This was a hidden sand. As all the water rushed towards the gigantic crater and filled it up, everyone's jaw dropped as they could not believe it. Was something like that even possible? And yet, they saw it with their own eyes. Now there, the problem has been taken care of, so I guess there will no longer be any complaints, I assume. The two of them shook their heads dumbly, as Naruto nodded with a smile. Alright then, I will step in if the fight is hopeless, and if the Genin is not able to fight back or able to give up themselves. I have the right to give the win to anyone in time. Any objections? They shook their heads no. Alright, begin. Back up in the Kage's booth. Amazing. Such mastery over the water element. In an ear like the hidden sand to pull water from the ear in such a terrain. That is just amazing, said Mei. As even A and Oniki had to admit, Snazzy's eyes were wide. There was only one other person that could possibly do something like that, and that was her grand uncle, Tobirama Senju. As Oniki spoke up, wasn't it the specialty of the second Hokage? I believe that he's amongst the few that can be able to actually do something like that. Yes, said Snazzy. He was the only one in his generation able to have such control over the master of the water element to completely negate all of the weakness and make it a complete weapon in battle. Most think that he was a bloodline of sorts, but that is not true. What do you mean, Snad-dano? Oniki asked, looking towards her. The Senjus and Uzumaki clans were cousin clans, with the Uzumaki clan being primarily strong, very strong water users. Their skills in sealing always overshadow their talent for water ninjutsu and kinjutsu as well. My grandmother, Mito Uzumaki, was the one to train Tobirama Senju in their younger days, as to help him perfect his control of degree that he had over water. So then this boy is a real royal heritage, to be a part of the Uzumaki head family, and the last living Namikaze as well. Huh, it seems you have really struck gold with this one, Kazekage-dano, the Raikage said. There was a slight jealousy in his tone. How he wished that the boy had found his village. He would have that boy under his command. Meanwhile, in the Jonin lounge, Sasuke Uchiha was losing it. Time and time again, the dope humiliated him. Despite this having nothing to do with him, Sasuke's mind was just unable to accept this fact. So the dope was holding back when they were back at the village, using techniques like this. He's now in a village with a beautiful kunoichi, and now people are calling him royal status. He's in control, giving orders to Anbu, as Sasuke told him to tell the Anbus to stand down. What the hell was his rank? Rage was written all over his face. He didn't have that. He didn't have that. And he knew why. The village was holding him back. He hadn't been able to learn anything extraordinary like the dope had learned. After getting rid of him, he assumed that the only competition in the village for his attention and training had now been gone, and he could reach new heights. But he was wrong to stay in the village for all those years. He needed that kind of power. He needed to be stronger, or he would never get his revenge. And he also wanted Temari. He wanted her. As he glanced towards her, a main part of his drive was a hatred that he felt that Naruto could have her and he could not. Why could the dope get things that he could not? He could not stand for it anymore. He will get what he wants. That weak village. Everything. All that was in his path, he will destroy it. He was Sasuke Uchiha, goddammit. An elite Uchiha. He deserves it. And he will get it. Time skip. The finals of the 36th annual Chunin exams had finally come to an end. Almost all of the civilians and dignitaries had left, with some of them making their way with strict guards and Anbu patrols. The proctor for said exam finally turned his gaze up. His cloak was on his shoulder, so his body was still exposed, showing his ripped muscles. After all the hard work he placed in over the past few years, his baby blue eyes met teal green as Temari looked down towards him. A mischievous smile came on her face as she jumped off the railing. As she closed her eyes, as she felt two arms wrapped around her securely and held her tightly, a wonderful smile came on her face as she felt her body settle down, as Naruto was holding her in his arms. One of these days you're gonna hurt yourself like that time, said Naruto. Well, you'll catch me, she said. I know it. As she yawned. You sleepy? Naruto asked. As she yawned once more and nodded. She was dead tired. The hard works of the past week was catching up to her, now that her duties were finally over. Naruto! As Gaara called out to him. Can I have a moment, he said, as Naruto looked back down to his sleeping wife in his arms. Well, she was not fully asleep yet, but he knew that Gaara must have called for something important. I'll be right back, said Naruto. With that, he was gone in a flash. At the Namikaze estate, as Naruto came in front of the marker in his room, as he walked towards the bedroom, as he laid Temari down and gave her a kiss on the forehead. Naruto, she said. Shh, it's alright, said Naruto. Just sleep, okay? As he gave her another kiss, as he covered her up, as she curled up in the bed, hugging the pillow close to her. With that, Naruto pulled himself up with a smile before he proceeded to vanish. In the Kage's booth, back in the stadium, Kankuro yelled as he fell over on his butt, as Naruto stood there. Damn it! Would you stop doing that, Kankuro said. The blonde was always scaring the crap out of him with just its instant teleportation like that. I hate that jutsu. As Naruto kneeled down before, he flicked Kankuro in the forehead, making the Jonin eye twitch. Come on, Kankuro, said Naruto. You're a Jonin, and you've seen my flashes hundreds of times. Kankuro snorted as he folded his arms. Whatever, it is still annoying. All damn blondes are annoying, he said, as Naruto chuckled at his childish pout. Kankuro would never let anyone else have the last word, no matter what he says. That is why Temari was always whacking him with her fan. As Naruto pulled himself up, looking towards all the Kages, as they were all looking back at him. Yo, said Naruto, as Gaara bumped him over the head. That is when he felt a feminine arm touch him. It must have hurt you, let me see. The voice was soft and seductive. As Naruto glanced towards her, it was none other than Mei Tsurumi, the Mizukage. I am quite alright, Mizukage-sama, said Naruto. Oh, it's me. Please call me Mei, she said to him. Of course, said Naruto, as he turned his gaze away from her. He stepped forward. Bachan, he said. It's been a very, very long time since he said that he was cut off. As Naruto was squeezed, he felt like his bones were going to be crushed. As he was stuck, Snather was squeezing the dear life out of him. I can't breathe, said Naruto. As Snather finally released him. I'm sorry, Naruto, she said. I'm so sorry. I tried. Trust me, I tried, but Snather felt guilt all over her. How powerless she was to help him. She couldn't even look straight at him when he came up here. But the name that he called her, the only one that he was the only one that could call her that. She let her instincts take over even if he hated her. At least she got one final hug. She knew that he probably hated everyone from Konoha after what has happened. However, this time, she was pulled into a hug. Given the fact that he was taller than her, as Snather felt like she was a child, being comforted in her sad moments. The last time she felt this way when she was being hugged by her grandfather, as she felt like she was a child again. Shh, it's alright. I don't blame you one bit, Bachan, said Naruto. You've always been there for me, like the mother I never had. And I love you for that, said Naruto. I'm just sad I haven't been able to see you all these years. That did it. As the dam broke, as tears started to leak from the woman's eyes. Kage or not, she did not care that the other Kages were here. She cried openly as she hugged on to Naruto. It took them a moment for her to break apart as she wiped her tears away. He has truly grown. You've grown so much, kid, she said, with a chuckle and a giggle and a bit of crying in between. The tears just wouldn't go away completely. And you got married, she said to him, as Naruto smiled at that. I'll forgive you for not telling me, only if you give me grandbabies soon enough. As that caused the blonde to blush a bit, as he thought about his beautiful Haim. However, his smile was infectious, making her smile as well. Of course. I give you my word, said Naruto. She motioned for him to lean his head down, which he did, as she placed her necklace around his neck. It still belonged to you, she said. You wanted fair and square, remember? As she looked at him. Of course, said Naruto, as he held on to the thing. It brought back so many memories. So much memories. However, he kept himself in check. He was just happy to see her again. But there was so much that he wanted to tell her. Come live with me at my house for the rest of the days that you're here, Bachan. We can catch up there, said Naruto. As she thought about it, She did have work to do of going back home. Wait, she was a Hokage. Screw them, she could do whatever she want. As she nodded at that, as Naruto stepped towards the Raikage and extended a hand. You have some nerves for trying to shake my hand, the man said, in a threatening tone. As he looked towards the blonde with a calculated gaze, who stood there as calm as ever. The Raikage smiled, as that was just a little test, as the both of them shook each other's hand. He liked people who would not cower under his gaze. After all, he hated cowards. As Naruto saw the Kage standing there, with a scowl on his face, mirrored by the girl that stood behind him. However, the large man had a warm smile on his face. Those were his bodyguards. The girl was his granddaughter if Naruto was not mistaken. Kage-sama said Naruto, acknowledging the man. Namikaze, the man said in a bitter tone. As Naruto knew that the man had his priorities, and there was something that he probably would never change. He looked over Naruto. Your priorities are sorted out straight. Unlike your father, I see. The sand headband looked better than the hidden leaf after all, as he gauged a reaction to see what he was going to get back. However, all Naruto did was nodded with a small smile. I would agree with you on that, Kage-sama. I hope we can move on from our past grudges. Scratching old wounds would do us no good. Let's move forward to a nice future, said Naruto, as he extended his hand towards the man. Only he looked at it for a few seconds, like he was thinking on what to do, before he begrudgingly took the hand and shook it. We'll see, but I tell you, these youngsters these days have no respect for their elders, he said. He said, getting laughed from everyone except for the two standing behind Snevy. Aren't you gonna shake my hand, Naruto-san? The seductive voice of Meitorumi spoke up once again. He had not even felt this nervous while he was fighting Sasuke, but there was just something about this woman. Of course, said Naruto, as he let out a smile and shook her hand. Her thumb rubbed the center of his palm gently. It's nice to meet you, Naruto-san, she said. Quite nice indeed. Naruto. As Naruto turned around, releasing her hand when he heard the person call him. As he turned to face the individual, a sour taste in his mouth as he spoke. Jiraiya. The way Naruto said his name, it was just something about it. Everyone could hear it. All the other Kages looked intrigued at their little conversation that they were going to have. The Toad Sage wanted to say something more when Naruto cut him off. I suggest that we all rest for today, now that we've all been introduced. My wife has made sure that all of your arrangement has been set. To your pleasure. We can talk this out tomorrow at a small dinner, if that is fine with everyone, said Naruto. All the Kages nodded at that, as Naruto placed a hand towards Snevy, as she realized he was going to teleport them, as she took his hand. Snevy, Jiraiya spoke up, placing a hand on her shoulder to stop her. Do you think it wise? Slap? She slapped away his hand. I have already accepted Namikaze proposal, Jiraiya-san, and it would be quite rude if I broke my word now. Her tone was cold and icy. But what about the security measures that we set up? He tried to make her see reason and avoid going to the man's house. However, her eyes narrowed dangerously. Are you saying that I will be unsafe in the residence of the man's house that set up the entire village security himself? That is some accusation to our allies that you're making, she said. Alright, said Jiraiya. I will notify everyone of your new place of residence, but I should come with you. However, Naruto spoke up. I apologize, Jiraiya, he said. But I have no more room in my house than the one I offered to your Hokage. Jiraiya was about to say something, but Naruto turned and did not even acknowledge him anymore. It was like he was dead. As Naruto asked Gaara if there was anything else, however, Gaara shook his head. As Naruto told Snell to be prepared, she nodded as he vanished away with her in a bright flash. Jiraiya quickly sunshined out of there. However, he was not going after them, not in the slightest. He was not the only one there though. Kakashi was also there as well, but he had not said a single word, as his former student had not even gazed in his direction. The only reason why Naruto had even acknowledged Jiraiya being alive is because, well, simply Jiraiya called his name. Other than that, Naruto did not want to pay or say a single word to either of them. Time skip. Namikaze Estate. Naruto did not flash inside like he did with Temari. He flashed in front of the main gate so that Tsunade could know what his house outside looked like, so that she could get used to it. This is your house, she asked as Naruto nodded. It was 1,000 times better than the apartment that he lived in, within the Hidden Leaf, and it made her feel even more guilty. However, Naruto simply took her hand and brought her inside. She saw the lush garden, as she was surprised given the sand climate. He even had a small koi fish pond over to the side. She put her sandals aside as he motioned her towards the living room, where the large comfy couch was. She sat as she glanced around in amazement. It was so luxurious. As Naruto rummaged through the shelf to get her something to drink. I'm sorry, Bachan, said Naruto. I would have offered you some fine sake, but my princess kind of drank all of it a couple days ago. However, for the first time she was not in mood for any sake. As she waved it off, she just wanted to talk to him. However, she was hungry though, as Naruto brought her a cake. It seems like he was able to read her mind, as he brought her a nice slice. As Tsunade bite down on it, she was moaning in delight. The bakers in the stand are quite great, I see. Well, actually, I baked that, said Naruto, as he had baked it for Shizune. You baked this? She said in shock and surprise. So much has changed about him. He now can bake, as she hated that she missed so much of his life. So, said Naruto as he sat down, how is Shizune? She misses you dearly, Naruto. We both did until today, that is. I missed you too, said Naruto. So tell me, how have you been, she asked, as Naruto looked at her. Actually, happier than ever, said Naruto, as she smiled a happy, sad smile. I have a girl that loves me. I was welcome in their family. And I have 2 brothers, said Naruto. People here, they look at me with love and respect. I have become one of their own after seeing me around them. The shinobi too respect me not for my position or my status, but for who I am. It was what I wanted since I was a child. Acceptance, he said, making her nod shamefully. He had gotten the things that he wanted in a new village, and his damn home village had scorned and spat on him. Something that made her really upset, however. I'm glad, she said, as she felt nothing but joy and happiness for him. Even though he was no longer in the leaf, she was beyond happy for him. The next morning, Temari walked downstairs. After her shower, she was clad in her furry pajamas, her oversized black t-shirt, which was Naruto's. She was a bit annoyed right now. Her husband had apparently stayed out the night, as she wanted to cuddle him, but he was not there when she woke up late in the night, so she had to force herself to go back to sleep. She was gonna have a stern talking to him when he came back home, as her cheeks flushed in a rather cute way. However, what she saw shocked her, as Naruto and Tsunade was on the couch, the both of them leaning back asleep. Her head was resting on his shoulder as he had an arm around her shoulder, as they were just asleep. It was so cute. The two looked like a lost mother and son duo meeting after a couple of years, which could be called true in this case. She didn't have the heart to break them out of their little stupor, so she tiptoed towards the kitchen to make herself some tea. She was surprised that Tsunade was here, but she was fine and happy with it after all. She was one of the only ones from the leaf that she respected, along with Shizune. However, they must be hungry. Sometime later, both Tsunade and Naruto nose twitch at the same time as their eyes open up at the exact same time. Scene 2 steaming, cup of coffee in front of them, and a slice of meat pie. One for them each. As Naruto glanced over towards the armchair to see Temari sitting there, with her own cup of coffee, as she gave him a wink with a smile. As they ate, it's been a very, very long time since she felt this wonderful. It's been so long. Tsunade had a smile on her face. She couldn't remember the last time she was smiling so long, or actually placed on a real smile on her face without it being sarcastic or a joke. She now knew most of what happened after last night. After breakfast though, there was still a few things that she need to know, and things that he need to know. Naruto, she said, as Naruto turned his gaze upon her. The leaf now knows you're alive and all of your truth, has been revealed to the world as well. As Naruto nodded as he did not see her point. They will want you back, she said. She knew how those leeches work. After all these years. A look of disbelief spread across Temari's face. As Naruto's face seemed utterly blank, Temari was the one to speak up first. You seriously think after all they did to my Naruto-kun, he will even consider seeing the hidden leaf walls, let alone returning? No offense, Temari said. None taken, but I know how their mind work. Now that they know that you're alive, they will want you for what you hold. Realization dawned over Naruto's face. Temari was confused. What more could they want from him? Naruto did not have any money problems here. To even think about it, not to mention he would not have gone back then, because it was just after his banishment. As he never told Temari. My parents' fortune, he said. What fortune? Said Temari, as she did not know what he was talking about. Tsunade was the one to speak up. His mother, Kushnat Uzumaki, was the heiress of the village in the whirlpools, and the Uzumaki clan. Temari nodded. She already knew that much. So the entire island of the whirlpools now belonged to Naruto, along with all the fortune left behind from the Uzumaki clan before the destruction. It is all sealed at the land of whirlpool, untouchable to anyone but blood of the royal family, and Naruto is their last descendants. And there is Minato's as well. Your father? Said Temari. As Naruto was surprised by that. He had never went to the land of whirlpool back then after reading the letter because he would have to pass through the land of fire, and he didn't want to go anywhere near back to Konoha when the wound was so fresh. But his father, he never knew about that one. Minato was a very great man with a sharp mind, even when it comes to business and ownership. She explained, making him shocked. I know that you don't know of this, Naruto, but the third cleared up all traces back to the Namikaze name when he died, and spread it around through various accounts in the Fire Nation and the Fire Daimyo personal vault. All of them laid sealed there. Sealed and been collecting interest for years now. All of the rents of the land that he owned in his lifetime and left behind. The third knew that many within the village would try to go after them with his passing, so he made sure to destroy any evidence leaving anything back. Only with the exception of you being able to take full account for these things. That is why they were kept protective after all these years. As the law was that Naruto would, when he reached the age of 18, everything would be given to him. The business, the inheritance, everything. However, that never came while he was in the village. That was not in letter because the third had made sure that no one would go after Minato's wealth by completely making it seem like it was not there when it actually was. Sarutobi Sensei loved you a lot, Naruto, but his age finally caught up to him in the later years. As he tried to fight off the council and tried to manage the impact after the Kyuubi attack and the crippling of his forces, everything was a lot for him. But in the end, he did make sure to stash it away under lock and key, so that no one could lay a finger on it, except for you. How much exactly are we talking about, Temari asks. She was one of politics and all that. And if it was all the years since Naruto has been born, if all that money had been there for so long, and if they were in banks collecting interest, and not to mention with Land of Whirlpool, no one knows the exact amounts, apart from the third, the fourth, and the daimyo himself. But I do know that the lands held in the main shopping district of Konoha, along with half its resident lands, pay their rent to accounts that lead to the fire capital, said Tsunade. Wait, then that means... Temari whispered, as she couldn't believe it. Yes, Naruto now owned half the residential lands in the village, along with the shopping centers, the money that Minato made as a shinobi, along with the Hokage, and with the rents of the lands that he had acquired over his years. With all that interest combined, give Naruto quite a bit of power to rumble up the fire capital and Konoha financial department, if he wants to. Tsunade knew that this made her seem as a traitor for telling Naruto this, but she did not care. She had half a mind to tell him to do it and get it over with. However, she knew that he would not, because that would make him no more better than those bastards back in the village. And hate was not something that she wanted to carry anymore. He had moved on, he was happy. So, they had no more control over his life. All she wanted was for him to be happy here, with his wife. So I will have to come back to the Fire Nation to do this. Snappy heard the venom in his tone. Yes, the Fire Daimyo himself will have to come to meet the heir to the most powerful family in the village, personally. An invitation from him isn't something that one can simply ignore, as much as you might think otherwise, Naruto said Snappy. As Naruto glanced over towards Temari, who simply smiled at him, she would be by his side no matter what. None of them noticed though the small poof that went off behind them. Meanwhile, in a simple hotel room, Sasuke laid on his bed, rage in his eyes. He was not yet strong enough, as he could not achieve all he wanted by himself. His hand came up and touched right at his neck, a bloodthirsty smirk coming on his face. Soon, I'll have all that you have, Naruto. I'll take everything away from you once again. And in the end, I will get everything, not you. That I promise, Sasuke said with an evil smirk, talking to himself in his hotel room, as he started to plot things in his head. But guys, be and subscribe right here for one thing Spartan do. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.